Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? Hi. So I bought these ice cubes, like icebreakers, ice cubes. I thought that they would be mints, but they are gum, sugar-free gum. Didn't see the sugar-free gum part because I love mints and I love mint. Helps prevent cavities when chewed for 20 minutes after eating. I guess it pulls up all of the like little fruity things, maybe. I don't know. It's the black cherry flavor. It's pretty good. So, this was probably not the thing to do when I tried to start this video. But I am going to pull some of these Mystical Dreams Tarot and also Energy Oracle cards. Because I had a dream last night. I had a very interesting dream last night. And I guess it's related to something that I don't know if it's constantly or if it's every now and then. There'll be something that there will be something that I want to explore in the dream space, or something that I want an answer to, or some insight on from, and then I'll go to the dream space to get that insight. Now, for a long time, I wanted to meet myself because I felt like that who I had become wasn't who I was, or that there were some key aspects and components of who I was that I had lost. And it's like I just want to be able to talk to myself. And so I held that dream intention for a while before I ever had the dream. Now it's something that I've recently thought of doing again. Like I would like to see myself again, but I didn't go to bed with that intention last night. So I don't know why that happened. But anyway, so the first time I actually met myself, I can't remember if it was my intention then too. Because like I said, it took a long time. Like there have been other things that I found in dreams fairly like a lot quicker, but it took a long time for me to be able to meet myself or find myself. And I remember I was in church or in one of my old churches growing up, and I was going to walk out of the church when I noticed, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dreaming. I went lucid. I don't know why, but I was like, I'm dreaming. Then I was like, I would like to meet myself. So as I'm going to the door, I see my reflection in the glass because it's a glass door. And then I came into the building. I was like, oh snap, I finally did it. And so there was me who looked exactly like me. And he was like, okay, like, so let's go somewhere. And so he opened the door and all I could see was black. And low key, I was scared. Honestly, I was like, where are you taking me? I don't see anything through this doorway. But I was like, I guess I trust myself enough to like, I'm not gonna do anything to me. Um, so I went through. Oh, oh, the Ouroboros and the Dream Angel. So I went through the door, and I'm actually gonna pull one of these for this now. I'll go back and forth. And it was this space where everyone in the space, I don't know if there's any significance to it, but everyone in the space was wearing a red shirt. And like, so like my eyes didn't adjust to the dark yet. It was like a low light situation. It wasn't completely dark. It was low light. And I kind of lost myself. I was like, where did I go in the sea of people wearing red shirts? And then I was like, oh, over here. Okay. And there were lots of people with their higher selves, I'm assuming. And so we went over somewhere. The wisdom teacher, come through majors. Okay. And there was like a gym court or like a basketball court, a tennis court where it was sectioned off, but there was a big Pokeball sticker. And I had a Pokemon battle with my higher self, or with this version of myself. And we start the, the battle. And at first, we started using the same types of Pokemon. And then at one point, so like we were playing the same Pokemon. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna switch my Pokemon so that I can have an advantage here. And then his Pokemon used a move that it wasn't even supposed to have. And I'm like, you're cheating. Like, this isn't fair. I'm losing. Because, like, all of his Pokemon were better than mine. And even when our Pokemon were the same, it's like his had moves that they weren't supposed to have. And then I noticed that he was like, so I was getting obviously irritated and upset and frustrated because I'm like, this isn't fair. And then I noticed that he was like sliding me some cards, like he was giving me some Pokemon. And I was like, I don't want your pity Pokemon. But also, I was like, I guess I'll take him. And I woke up before the end of that dream. And it was exciting. It was kind of weird. I was like, I don't know why a Pokemon battle. But I remember it was like we did the same things, but like his Pokemon were always better, even if they were the same type, even if they were the exact same Pokemon. And then again, like his would had moves that I wouldn't think that they could have. And I thought like I was about to do something until he pulled out this move. I'm like, what? Like that Pokemon doesn't learn that naturally. I was like, you're cheating. But then again, like it started helping me by giving me like Pokemon. And so I guess in some ways, it's almost like maybe like our higher selves are us, but better, evolved. Where even if it's in the same space, even if it's the same type, it produces something that shouldn't be, or something that we wouldn't think that we could do in a space, something that we would assume can't happen in the space because we know the space so well that when we try to get an advantage, we're still not quite on the same level, right? And so that was an interesting dream. I wonder if I recorded it. And so last night I had a dream, and in the dream I'm laying in my bed. Apparently now whenever I dream I'm laying in my bed, something is gonna happen. That's I was just like laying in the bed when I heard Collie start talking to me. I'm like, what? So I'm laying in the bed, and then for some reason I feel like I feel like it wasn't a lucid dream or even a semi-lucid dream. I feel like it was just a dream. So in the dream, I'm laying in the bed and I'm like trying to visualize myself. And then it's like I appeared like floating in the air, like on top of me. And then I'm like trying to like grab his arms and like anchor him down. Cause I'm like, don't go anywhere. And then like he kept like floating up. And I'm like, so then and like he disappeared. So I had to re-visualize it again. And I grabbed like so we locked arms, but I couldn't like get him to like overlay into my body. Like I couldn't get that there. And then I felt like a drop on my forehead. And I was like, so in the dream, I don't know what this means, by the way. I don't know. But it's like he like spit on my forehead or something. I was like, did you? So instead of being like, did you just spit on me? I was like, oh my gosh, I actually felt it. Like there's something that he did above me that I actually feel. And like maybe it wasn't spit, maybe it was like a drop of water or some spirit juice or something. And I was freaking out. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I actually felt it," because like I was exerting all this effort trying to like anchor it down, but then it did something that I felt. And then I woke up and then I had a different dream. Um I don't remember what the other one was about. I feel like I was doing something. And I was watching a little bit of, so I'm like I got on the exercise bike today because I'm trying to build my endurance before the end of the month when I go on this trip. And I was listening. No, it was before that, but I don't think I really listened to anything else earlier today. It's like something popped into my mind, and I was like, "Wait, did I dream about that last night?" I don't know. All right, so I want an energy oracle card for the wisdom teacher, please. So yeah, and then the first time I experienced a version of my higher self, like it wasn't a me that I recognized. So like it didn't look like me. But the next space, I was like, oh, I want to find my higher self. And another setting that I recognize sometimes is in front of this house, right? Now at the time I wasn't at home. So it was probably easier for me to recognize I was dreaming. But now that this is my environment, it may not be as easy. And so I walk outside and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm lucid dreaming. Well, I'm gonna meet my higher self, so I'm gonna fly up there and to like, get there, I guess. And there was someone that I discovered, but they were like asleep or stationary. They were stationary. And I tried to like tap them on the like they were huge though, like so much bigger than me, like size, like that old Bezalio card, the one where there's like the little one and then the huge one in the forest. It was like that. And so I tried to tap the third eye to wake it up. But as soon as I got close, I was like pushed back down to earth with such extreme force. It was like I like shot out of the air. And like it took me a long time, honestly, to be able to fly that high in dreams or to fly that freely in dreams. Like I've had flying dreams before, but I don't like for a long time I didn't fly very well. And like when I'm like running or moving in dreams, for a long time I wasn't moving very fast. And I remember back in like middle school, high school, whenever I would fly in dreams, it was always like I got to get a running start and then jump and then try to like keep myself in the air. Now I can just like fly all over the place. Um, and so like that at that point, that was the highest I had ever been. And after it got so high, it was starting to get difficult. So that last like trying to get to the third eye to wake it up to tap it was a lot of effort. And again, as soon as I got close enough to put a hand on it, like I just like shot out of the air. And I remember seeing it like reach down to grab me before I like went back into my body, I guess. Yeah. So cuz in this dream, so in the dream I was home. In real life, I was on campus. And when I woke up from that dream, I had to still be dreaming because I woke up from that dream seeing it reach down to get me. And I look up above my ceiling and it's like I could see like marks, like bruises where like something had like impacted on top of it. But then I wake up later and the ceiling is perfectly fine. So I'm like, I got knocked into another dream in which I saw like, oh yeah, like it tried to get me, but it like couldn't pierce through the ceiling, I guess. I don't know. And that was, I think, one of the first dreams where it was like a higher aspecty type thing. And then after that is when I saw myself. And then I had the dream last night. And again, like, I don't know what prompted the dream last night. It didn't really feel lucid. Like, it doesn't feel like something that I consciously was like, oh, let me try to visualize myself like floating above me as I'm laying in bed. I mean, I did have the thought, but it was like a dream thought where your brain just does dream things. But that's where the dream started. I was just like, oh, like, I wonder if I can do this. And then it happened. I was like, oh my gosh. And in my excitement, it disappeared. And then I got it back and it spat on me. I should look that up. Is there a dream dictionary? I'm gonna look it up real quick. What does it mean if you spit on yourself in a dream? I don't even know what to type. What does it mean if you spit on yourself in a dream? Let's see if anything pops up. Why do I spit when I dream? Okay, well, this says if you dream that you have so much saliva in your mouth that you just need to spit it out, this is a sign that a lot of brilliant ideas are born in your head that you do not want to fulfill for some reason, and they disappear. Do not scatter thoughts, they are so fleeting. What dream about spitting means? Okay, check my dream, right? Spitting is an unesthetic and uncultured occupation, but it is necessary for all people without exception. How else to clean your mouth from trash or saliva flowing? I mean, it wasn't. I'm not like that's not something that I'm into. Just throwing that out there. But I wasn't turned off in the dream. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt it. What? That's crazy. No, not going to the dentist. Not a mouthful of blood. Not spitting blood. Not choking. No teeth fly out. What? Spitting worms? No. Spit sand? No. If someone spits in your face in a dream, this means someone harbored a grudge against you and now yearns for revenge. What? But it was me. Am I harboring a grudge against myself? I don't know. If you dream that you spit sand, small pebbles, or other rubbish in someone's face, in reality, it means that you need this person's help. But instead of asking for help, you do silly, rash acts to draw his attention to your problem. To dream that a loved one spits in your face is a sign of a coming quarrel, misunderstandings, or even cooling of feelings. I don't know. Maybe it's something in there. Maybe it isn't. I guess, like, because I always say that sometimes we should look at what that means for us, but I just don't. Like, and I didn't see him spit, I guess. It's like I felt liquid on my forehead and I assumed it was him because he was above me. And then I assumed it was spit because what else would it be? But it could be the energy of something, I want to say coalescing, or it's like distilling. As something distills, it's like yeah, like a distillation column, and how sometimes it drips. Distilling or filtering, and so that would have been like a purer wisdom, because if it drops like that, it's like it's passed through some kind of filter to remove something potentially. I don't know. There we go. Finally, that's too much, but I'll take this one. So, Goddess of the Moon came out with the Wisdom Teacher. Is that it? I guess I'll get one more because that one, I think that one came out when I was talking about the Pokemon battle. So then I'll get at least one for that dream last night. And I remember I had another dream in that city where I would always recognize I was dreaming. And I was looking for like the blind swordsman or something like that. And then I noticed this dream was so trippy because I noticed somebody like running. And I was like, oh, well, let me follow that person because that's the only thing that's out of place. Oh, this is a whole bunch of cards. Low key, every single card that's come out as I'm talking about these dreams is a major arcana. And I just got three of them that fell out: Mayat, the Moon Chariot, and the Master of Secrets. Like Justice, the Chariot, the Magician. I have the Star, the Wheel of Fortune, the Hermit. Everything is major. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, question mark. So I had the dream that I was going looking for the blind swordsman. I don't remember why. That was the image that I chose to pursue. And so I noticed somebody moving and I follow them, but then I lose them. And it's like it would start in one place. And this dream had a lot of it was a fairly congested area with lots of twists and turns, and it had stairs, and it had some areas where there would be a ledge. And so the first time I followed them and I got lost, and then I woke back up, or I started back at the beginning and I took a different route because I was like, oh, I lost them up there, so I'm gonna go this way. But then I noticed myself, and then I had the dream again, and it eventually became this thing where I was chasing myself. But the previous route that I took in the previous incarnation of within the same dream without waking up, I would just start back at the beginning and try to catch the person that I first noticed. And now I'm like, well, maybe it was me before the first one. And I end up in this one place that was almost like inside of a building, and I'm walking around trying to find can anybody tell me where the blind swordsman is? I see one of my neighbors. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for this. Never found him. Just walking around in circles and chasing myself, trying to find it. The dreams that I had in that city of dreams is crazy. There's also there are a few areas that I used to dream of frequently. There was one, it was like a big Chinese restaurant or Chinatown area or museum slash amusement park thing. And it was called okay, I don't know what this is about, but sure, why not? Oh, okay. Um, but five of wands at the bottom of the deck. It's like it was a place I would recognize, I would dream of frequently, and it was like the Forbidden City or the Forbidden Palace or something like that. Not really super atypical. And there was another place that it was like I would be in an area, and there was a place that I ventured off to one night with one of my good friends, and it was some like a costume horror bar type drag place club thing that we went to one time. And then I had a few dreams of trying to get back to that place and navigating. And I was like, I think it was back here. And then I had a dream where I went there and it was shut down. And I saw some people outside. And every now and then, it doesn't happen very frequently anymore, but I'll wake up in a setting that's similar to that dream. And I'll be like, oh, I need to navigate back there to see if I can find the place. Cause I had so much fun that night. I only made it one night and I had so much resistance in going. And it's like I finally make it there and then I have a good time and then I can't find it in any other dreams. Dreams are weird. So this is where, okay. Ooh, all right. Our first non-major. This is where I'll stop. Two dreamers. The Dreamer of Cups and the Dreamer of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the Two of Swords. Am I gonna read these? What am I doing? I don't know. I don't know. So the Ouroboros in this deck has legs. And so the Ouroboros in this deck reminds me, or it makes me think of, like, this is like pre-Garden of Eve cycle that was set in motion. Back when the snake still had its legs, before it was cursed to slither on its belly. And then it's coming out with the Dream Angel. There's almost an energy, I don't know if it's applicable to the dream, but there's almost an energy here of like, it's almost trying to make peace with something, and it's almost an apology. Because it's like, because of me, something else transpired in someone else's life. Like if this was Eve and this was the snake, right? I don't know. It's like apologizing to the snake, but the snake is like, fine. I don't know. That energy just went out the window. But the snake later gains its wings as the Quetzalcoatl. So everything was a part. Like it's a cycle that was put into place all the way back then to come to a point of fruition eventually. And so it's like these apologies aren't needed and aren't necessary. It's also that energy of like when things don't work out, there's an opportunity for things to work out better. And the contract card is the one that came out. The contract card, especially with it being blindfolded, there's a little bit of an energy of like, from our perception and from our experience, it's something that should not have happened. It's something that we deem as a mistake. But in a more divine sense, it's like it's all written up, it's all accounted for. Will the snake lose its legs? Yeah. But again, like later it'll gain wings and be able to ascend the earth. So even if it had its legs, like it'll never be able to move as it will when it gets those wings. Now this came out when I was talking about what, seeing my reflection in the door, I think. And it was like nighttime. I was in church about to leave the church. And I guess that could hold some symbolism for me as transitioning from like a more religious based experience to a more spiritual based experience. And I was always both spiritual and religious, but I fell out of favor with religion because like I'm gay, and when I was growing up and going through church, that meant I was going to hell. And there were other things. It was like how petty and stuff, how human, I guess, some of the people in church were. And it's like this thing where it's like people who, not everybody, but some people who claim to be Christians can be extremely harsh and very judgmental of other people because that's what the Bible says. But in the same breath, they'll have sentiments like, well, like, why are people so like judgmental of us just because we're Christians? And it's especially like when you're not following the things that your Bible tells you to do, but it's like you pick and choose the things that you want to believe in because it's like you want to be able to harass other people, but also have the freedom to live your own life or not experience any judgment or criticism, but very quick to judge and criticize others. Um, Also, it was weird when it was like, there are people literally starving on earth right now who may be praying just to like not die. People who are in very not great situations. And I'm listening to testimonies on Sunday of how like people got another new car. And it's like why is everything like so great for these people, and they're like literally people in the world who are suffering. Like, what's that about? And I was a child, right? But then like some other stuff, and then also I started to meet people from different faith backgrounds, and I was like, it doesn't make sense to me that in a time when we were all so disconnected and just like where we were and unable to like move around the earth like we can now, it doesn't make sense that only one specific group of people would be offered salvation and the rest of the world would be damned to hell. So like they're the only people that get any kind of salvation, or they're the only people that get some kind of truth. Like I don't, that it doesn't vibe with me. And so I fell out of religion, but still maintained my spirituality. And I didn't do too much with it. Honestly, a lot of it was like, why are people like this? Like, if people have been hurt and they know what it's like to hurt, why do they then go and hurt other people? Why do we become our bullies? Or why do we perpetuate things that we don't like? What is up with people? And there's always been like an internal dialogue, and my intuition it's been there to guide me along certain ways. And like whenever I needed to get a prayer out, or whenever whenever I needed to feel the love and the grace of God, I got it in those darkest moments right before or when I was in the pit of it. Then it's like that love and that calm would come in, and it's like, okay, like I'll be all right. And so that in some ways that could be like leaving a more hierophant sort of structure to get and establish that personal connection, to connect with the part of the self that is closer to the all. And then the wisdom teacher came out with Goddess of the Moon when I was talking about that Pokemon battle where I felt cheated. Well, first it was going into this dark space. I'm like, you want me to go where? Like, all I see is black. This could be the same figure, low key, potentially. It's almost like they're tall enough. But in the moon, there's that mirror, right? Or the gateway. It feels like that connection. It goes back to that Samyaza Turiel, the pillar where the two snakes meet up there, the opening of the veil. It's like if that lower heart, higher heart, divine heart imagery is the easiest for me to use right now. It's like if we get our lower heart aligned to a more divine love, then our lower heart comes into a space of resonance with the higher heart that is always in resonance with the divine heart. And so then it creates this sort of like channel for that energy to really like come through. Going back to the leaf caught in an eddy, it's like when the winds of change are pushing us in a certain direction, but because of a limitation or a blockage, we don't go any further. And so we like swirl around, and then we just kind of sort of spiral around as we release more and more limitations and blockages. We go further before we spiral back around. But eventually it's like we'll make it through. And I feel like that's a little bit of what this is. And I just remember how like irritated I was. Cause I was like, oh, like I'm about to like switch out my Pokemon and I'm about to at least take one of them down, right? Like if I can get at least one Pokemon on his team down, then it won't be a crushing defeat. But no, couldn't even do that. And I was like, this isn't fair. This is no fair. And it's no fun either. And then Higher Self was slide me some Pokemon. I was like, no, I don't want your Pokemon. I just want you to lose, apparently. I don't know. A little ego stuff, I guess. Yeah, okay. So this is it. This is the connection to the moon where there's a connection to the pearl. So it's like this escalates up here and then this goes up here. And then because both of these are in position, we can get some of this action. Now, all of this, Mayat, the Moon Chariot, the Master of Secrets, came out for the dream last night that I still don't really get. It's like nothing really happened besides me getting a drop of liquid on my forehead. And then the man holding a heart is here. The man holding the heart is here, I feel like for me, because like I said yesterday, this is one of my challenges. One of my challenges is to not be so frustrated or upset or short-sighted that I pull my energy out of a situation before it like blossoms into all that it could. And maybe that's why the Seven of Pentacles keeps coming up. It's about nurturing. It's about nurturing. He's able to nurture. I've never noticed this blue heart that's like on his leg. So there are two hearts here as well. I don't know what this is. Because there's this energy. Oops. From the wisdom teacher who is seeing themselves on the moon reflected in whatever portal mirror that is, to Mayat, the goddess of justice, being under the moon, and then the moon chariot sort of like. And this moon is very reminiscent of this moon, but this one's moving forward. And the last card is the Master of Secrets. Oh my gosh, that's the spit! That's the spit from that space up there, and then it like dropped on my forehead. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt it! I felt it! like I said, like I'm not like that's not something that I'm into. Not knocking anybody who is, because we all got our own things. Because in this card, I've read this card, like that's the light that comes from the divine onto this. I guess I'll read all of these. Why not? And then finally, it's the dreamer. Oh my gosh. I've just seen this. And it's interesting that the Dreamer of Swords is so watery. Look at that Neptunian energy because of the trident there. I don't know if I took a picture of it. There was a statue. I know I took a picture. There was a like a minotaur. There was like a centaur on a statue. It was a statue of Diane or Diana, goddess of the hunt. Artemis in Greek. Apollo just came out for Chiron. Russ wrestling around as he did the Chiron wounds. Apollo was there as that who took Chiron in and taught Chiron everything that he knows. Artemis Diana was the twin sister to him. What am I looking for? The statue. Oh, I told my friend to take a picture of the statue. I don't know if he did it though. I'm gonna see if I have a picture. Then I'm gonna see if he uploaded the picture. Oh, I probably just sent it in Instagram. I didn't take it on my phone. That's fine. But I did tell him to take a picture. So, because she was standing naked and there was like this jet of water that was like shooting up. What is why is Google Photos always moving stuff? Oh my gosh. Goodness. I just used this yesterday. Let's see. Is this a picture of He was like, Patrick, go over there and make the face that the stone lion, like go over there and make the face that the lion is. Cause I was like, why are there like these little pots? You'll find these like little architectural pots all over the place with little lion faces on them. I was like, why is that? And he was like, go make the face of the lion. I was like, what face is the lion making? And so that was my best lion face. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. But it's fine. It was a fun moment. Here it is. This is the statue. So I'll try to cut her out of it. You can't really see it in this picture. They said that one time the water pressure was high enough where it did actually hit her butt. But that's Diana, goddess of the hunt. That you can't see it from this angle. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Like there's a little bit of water down there that's shooting up. Yeah, I told him to take a picture of the fountain. He was like, "No, it's fine." He did. He did. Hey, how did I overpass? How did I glance over this? This is the statue. You can't. Yeah, see, you can see the water there. It was like shooting up. And then there's the rest. There's a centaur on one of those on the bottom. It was like chasing something. It was like boars and centaurs, or goddess of the hunt. I guess maybe she hunted boars. But that is reminding me of this. And also, so the Master of Secrets has his heart space lit up, and the Dreamer of Cups, it's like it drops down into the sacral, and then at the root is this like crescent moon with the fire in it. Right, we see this from the heart space down, and then we see these crescent moons between the Dream Angel, the Moon Chariot, and the Wisdom Teacher. It drops down here. So maybe there is something like dropping in. And it's this light. And again, like for something to drop or drip like that, it's probably been distilled. It's probably been purified. And if it is that slow of a drip, either the filter is clogged or it's very highly concentrated. It's very highly purified because it's less liquid that goes through. So that's more time that it spans through the filter, right? If something comes out of a filter fairly quickly, it isn't always good because there's a chance that, like, depending on the efficacy of the filter, that a lot of the contaminants have also flown through. Typically, the slower something moves through something, the more things have been pulled out of it. And so it takes a long time to get a full cup, but it's worth it because then it's like, or even like a eighth of a cup, because then you know it's a highly purified sort of substance. And depending, you may not necessarily need a lot of it. But what this Dreamer of Swords is doing, so she's taking all of this watery Dreamer of Cups sky and shifting it into, transitioning it into standing with one leg and both sides at the precipice of like transitioning it into this world. And that's where the crescent of that moon is open. Don't know what it means, but I'm down to read. So let's do this. We're going to start with the dream angel, I guess. And here we go. The dream angel and the Ouroboros. The dream angel. Oh, this is a lot. The dream angel radiates unconscious wisdom upon the earth, as indicated by her embrace of the flowering branch. She is gentle, compassionate, and loving, a welcome visitor after the ravages of the divine tower. The dream angel offers comfort and advice and has a soothing influence on the seeker weary from their long journey through the trials of life. She brings hope, urging the seeker to hold on, to look within, and to make necessary changes in order to continue on the path to self growth. On the ground near her is a turtle, representing the need for human patience and fortitude, virtues that pay off as inner work yields self realization. The turtle embodies the spirit of one who endures the long and often frustrating road to discovery and resolution. The moon above points to the emotional aspect of challenges and difficulties, the tears and sorrows that accompany us along the way. Yet, with patience and determination, we arrive at the destination, achieving the goal as the path is guided by insight from dream and inner vision. As the life journey is filled with challenges and hardships, the seeker can sometimes fall victim to despair, considering quitting rather than courageously fighting to the end. The turtle reminds us that rewards are waiting, and thus patience is the virtue necessary for achievement. And I talked yesterday about my journey and becoming patient by taking every opportunity I can to practice patience and how sometimes I can still be impatient. I also talked about how we all have our own unique challenges. If patience isn't a challenge that you have, then it may not be as focal in your journey of rising to whatever. I mean, literally all majors, and then we have the Dreamer of Swords and the Dreamer of Cups. Um, so it's a lot, and it requires a lot. And we all have our own journeys in our different time, and we go about fulfilling our roles in different ways. And far be it from me to tell anybody how to do anything that they need to do. I'm just here to, at the most, offer a potentially different perspective. Right. The dream angel holds a sprig of herbs, healing energies of the earth, which likewise are meant to soothe, encourage, and empower the wounded spirit of the seeker. The dream angel's presence represents the arrival at that communion where one's path is now in line with the inner voices of the unconscious. The seeker cannot make the journey without taking the flight within the dreamscape to communicate with the inner voice, that of the dream angel who understands all hurts and who has the remedy for each. Without the acceptance of the way of the dream angel, we may become lost in the labyrinth of heartaches and disappointments that scatter through life. The dream angel helps us to see past the hurts, leading us beyond our personal sorrows to discern the bigger picture. She is strongly present within altruistic communities or similar fields of work, offering the gift of insight and representing spiritual and environmental awareness. She helps us find our place in the world, connected and feeling part of everything. That came out with Ouroboros, which could be everything, potentially, but we'll see. Oh, there's an 8, 9, 10, right? The star is an 8. The wisdom teacher is 9. This is the 10. So it's 8, 10, 9 technically, but the Ouroboros, the wheel of all being, represents the eternal nature of being, unending and everlasting, with the flow of one cycle ending and opening to the beginning of another. On the card, the emerald green serpent, the Ouroboros, swallows her extremity, and thus there appears no end in her cyclic nature, vibrant green like life. The Ouroboros image first appeared in one of the ancient Egyptian funerary texts in the tomb of ancient Egyptian boy king uh, Tutankhamun, right? That's how you pronounce that. King Tutankhamun, as the ancient sun deity Ra joins with the god of the Duat, Osiris, there is the image of two serpents holding their tails and their mouths as they coil about a huge figure of a deity proposed to be the joint image of Ra Osiris. Ra, the sun god associated with daily waking life, and Osiris, the lord of the afterlife. Thus, the realm of the living and that of those. Oh, that reminds me of a dream that I had that I forgot. I was going to talk about it. And I'm going to stop right there. I was going to talk about this dream and then I forgot. It's a dream I had. There was an old feminine god who was angry. She was angry. There was a sacred space. Again, it was my church that we were in. And there was an old feminine god who was away for a while and then she returned. Almost like Hel from Thor Ragnarok, which is like, well, I saw Thor and Thor Ragnarok. I didn't see any of the other ones. I'm not a huge MCU person. Not super into superheroes, honestly. Um, but she came back and she was surprised and enraged to find men in that sacred space. And so what she did was, it was so weird. Like, only the men who were balding and married to a woman who was present in that space were spared. And so when she came back, or when I discovered that she was coming back, I had to go and collect wisdom and blessings from ancient gods and goddesses. I ended up, I mean, the original journey was to go and try to get some help. Like, she's back and she is not pleased, and people are dying. Um, can you do something? And no one would help me, but they would like give me something. And so I ended up going around collecting blessings instead of, somebody who would actually do it for us. And I remember at one point it was so interesting. Beyonce popped up in the dream because we had convinced the goddess that there was some ritual that we were performing. And so Beyonce was singing and doing something. And I was like, oh, well, if Beyonce is up there, she has enough of a collective presence, enough of a collective appreciation that maybe something will be at least stalled. But then people started like being like, oh my gosh, Beyonce, like, I love you. Can I get like a picture? Can I get an autograph? And it ruined the appearance of the ritual, right? And so that got shut down. But it bought enough time for, I guess I was like both in the sanctuary and outside trying to get some help. But I got enough information to know what I needed to do. And so the Three of Cups, our first non-major. I just read the Three of Cups. And so there was the Three of Cups. There was the series of trials that we had to make it through. And I remember one of the last trials is that there was a stage and there were people on the stage. And it was like, if anyone can survive or if anyone remains on the stage, then that is the conclusion of these trials. I think I talked about Hercules at the end of the last video, and I was like Disney Hercules, not like mythological Hercules, because mythological Hercules, Two of Swords at the bottom of the deck again. Mythological Hercules was kind of tragic. And so there were these glass enclosures on the stage, and there were these holes or these apertures in the glass, and there was a great wind that was going to come through. And because of how they were designed, there was like one specific way to like orient yourself in that passage and not be like either like torn apart by the strength of these winds or pushed out of that space. And I was like, okay, everybody, like find your place and then align in that way. And then as the wind came through, we were all okay. And so what actually happened though was, for all of the seats in the sanctuary after that, no, there was the thing on stage, but we also had to make sure that the aisles were clear, like off the stage. We also had to make sure that the aisles were clear off stage and that everyone on stage was positioned so that when the wind blew through, they would be fine. They wouldn't be blown off the stage because somebody had to remain on stage in order for us to pass this. Now, the thing that we weren't supposed to see or that we couldn't see is where the wind would come from, how the wind would interact in this space. Because, like wind will eddy. And like whenever wind hits something, it will move because it doesn't go through things necessarily unless, there is a hole, a gap for it to go through. Um, and we couldn't see the glass either. But I mean, I don't know. In the dream, I did go out and collect the blessing. So maybe one of those blessings was the sight to see this, and maybe some of the other blessings were the ones that helped us navigate the other challenges. I almost want to look and see if I have more details in my dream app because this is one that I'm pretty sure I recorded. The return of an old feminine god, and she was not happy. It was very scary. I was like, "Oh, girl." She was like, "Men in this space, y'all done fell all the way off." Um, and so after that last trial, there on the seats there was like a keyboard that popped up. I was like, "Okay, everybody, like run to like get a seat, run to it, and then fill out the information." And I don't remember everything that was in there. And there was a certain amount of time before the space either crumbled or before the space closed. Um, and so I was having difficulty entering my information because in dreams, especially at that point, it's like I can't type. Whenever I try to type in a dream on a phone or on a keyboard, it's like always full of typos. But there was like this little girl who helped me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you, girl. Thank you for punching this in for me." And I was freaking out because I was running out of time and I had to like fasten myself into the seat. I'm like too busy trying to make sure everybody else got to their seats. But somebody took care of me. And then I woke up, and then I was in a space and I saw my brother and he was playing a Game Boy Color. I was like, okay, so I guess I made it. But yeah, that dream was crazy. And it was a lot of like heavy ancient Egyptian sort of feeling. And honestly, that reminds me of another dream that I had that had a very ancient Egyptian energy where it was like there were two people. There was one person who was the Cinderella who could establish a portal, who could build a portal, create a portal. And then there was another person who would like maintain the portal, who would hold it open. I was the person who could hold the portal open. And we were in this space trying to fight something, or like a room was filling up with sand and we had to escape. And then I remember there was like a line of sphinxes, and I was just like sat between the sphinxes for a minute, I guess. And then somebody asked me, like, "Are you the Cinderella?" And I was like, "No, I'm not the Cinderella." Excuse me. And so I guess something was happening, and we went on a journey to try to find the Cinderella. Turns out the Cinderella, I think, ended up being Charlie, one of my old friends, but I don't know what Charlie means. Um, and she was establishing the portal, and like we were running through this space. And sometimes, like in a dream, you can have your vision isn't limited to your like where your two eyes are. And so it's like sometimes you can see something happening simultaneously in another space. And so as we were moving forward, trying to get to wherever to escape after I found the Cinderella. And I'm like, "Girl, you got to create a portal. Like, I can't create portals. All I can do is hold them. So you got to create the portal." And as we're going to for us, and I was like, "Okay, you need to hurry up, girl." But when we stepped through the portal in that dream, we were in the same space at the beginning of the dream that I was like trying to sort of get us out of. Anyway, and that had like a very ancient Egyptian feel. That's why it I was going to talk about the dream with the old goddess. Oh, let me look it up. Let me read it. Let me see if there's anything else in here. I haven't recorded a dream in a minute, honestly. I remember it was Return of an Old Feminine God. It's in the title. Here we go. Return of a Feminine Old God. Swarmed a place, killing men in the sacred space, had to learn slash commune with slash bargain with the old gods. Maybe collect blessings, definitely an Egyptian feel. This was May 3rd, 2019. So the night of May 2nd. Outside the sanctuary. Inside, there were very few people remaining. I overheard that non-balding husbands were spared because of their wives. So non-balding, I thought it was only the people who were balding. So if they were balding, then they were killed. Sorry. The baby wasn't born yet. There was singing and a fake ceremony meant to stall, but it wasn't completely made up. Beyonce was up and things got kind of wild because of fans. There was a little girl who kept coming beside me, found out she took my PlayStation 4 controller, and then was looking for my headset. I told her, see, this is my old Torian shadow. I told her it was mine, and I tried to turn the PlayStation 4 off via like the controller, but I couldn't turn it off. Beyonce ended up leaving after the photos and cheering became too much. I thought they'd power her up so she could fight. Again, the space of that collective belief. The little girl's mom was kind of out of it. I'm back in the sanctuary now, and she tells me, "Oh, this was this dream? I forgot about this part of the dream." Um, I'm back in the sanctuary now, and she tells me, I guess this also goes back to the whole Cinderella thing, the person who creates the portals and the person who holds the portals open. I'm back in the sanctuary now, and she tells me I need to find someone from my past who I could have had a child with. And I had absolutely no idea who she was talking about. I tried to figure it out, but she revealed it was Alex Pendergast, nobody that I know. But I think